Today's demonstration, I'm going to show you some cutting techniques using vegetables. So I'm just going to move the camera down to the chopping board so you get a better view. Okay, and then what we're going to start off with, we're going to start off with an onion. So with the onion, you have the root end and you have the leaf end. It's easier actually to cut a piece off of the leaf end because onions obviously are not very stable. So if you take a slice off the leaf end part, that way your onion is now stable with the root. Keep your root attached because that makes it easier for when you're cutting. It keeps the onion together, doesn't all fall apart. So what we're going to do first is cut the onion in half to make it easier to peel and easier to chop. So we're going to use the bridge cut. We're going to go through the centre of the onion and straight through. Okay, and at this point it's then easier to peel the skin of your onion off as opposed to trying to pick at it when it's whole. So then you're left with 2 half pieces of onion and you can see that they're stable. Okay, so the first technique, I've got the root on, that keeps the onion together. Okay, so for the first technique we're going to do a cut called brunoise. So the French term is brunoise and that is for a fine dice. So what we're going to do first is we're going to slice the onion, not all the way, but to the back here. So holding the top of the onion, slice it gently. As you can see, it's not gone all the way out of the onion so it separates, just to the back, to this root part here. That's the first cut. Then just turn it round once, and then we're going to cut through the onion using your claw grip, which is like this, to protect your fingertips. We're going to cut all the way through the onion, but not all the way through the back of the onion. This is going to give you little slices of onion. When you get so far, you can then go back to the bridge hole to make it a bit easier. Okay. After that part, turn it back on itself again where you started, and then we're going to slice down the opposite direction, and as you can see, we're getting some fine diced onion. Now you can do this thicker onion as well. This is just called a brunoise, so this is a fine dice. When you do it this way, I find it potentially is quicker for you, but it's also a bit easier because it keeps the onion together. And that's the fine dice. So you can see how small it is. So if you want to hide that into casseroles, soups, anything like that, just move that onto the side. So that's your fine dice, which is your brunoise. Okay, the next one we're going to do is with the carrot. I've peeled the carrot already. I'm just going to take both ends off. And then we've probably got 3 inches. Now this cut is called a julienne, French term, and that is called thin strips. So what we're going to do is square off the onion slightly to make it easier to slice. So take a slice off, pop it down on the flat side, and then take a slice off again. You don't need to throw these away. You can keep these and put them into your soups or casseroles or anything like that, so there's no wastage, or your stocks. Okay, so do that 4 times, and then you've got flat sides all round. Makes it easier to slice then. Okay, so what we're going to do is probably about 2 to 3 millimetre thick slices, like so. Again, using that claw grip to hold your carrot in place. So we're just going to do thin strips like so. If you don't need to cut right to the end, you can use that in your soups anyway. Okay, and then with these strips, we're going to do, they look like a bit like matchsticks. Again, nice and thin, about 3 millimetre. Then you'll get thin strips. And you can use these are good for salads, stir fries, because they're quick and easy to cook, because there's not much of them. Okay, so that cut is your julienne, which is thin strips. And then if you wanted to, you could always, if you wanted to hide some vegetables and things, if you know, the children aren't eating vegetables and you want to put some vegetables in there but they don't notice, then you can cut these then down into thinner. So you've almost got brunoise of carrot as well. Okay, and then the next cut we are going to do is a medium dice. Again, if you just take one end off, like so, it just makes it flat, so it's a lot easier to cut than when it's rolling around. It's a bit more stable. Okay, so this one's a medium dice, and this one is called Parmentier, French term. So again, it's like thick batons. So you do thicker sticks, and then you turn them around, and then you make them into a bigger dice. Probably about 12 mil, 13 mil. This one's called a medium dice, it's Parmentier. So you can use these in your soups, salads, casseroles, stews, that kind of thing. Okay, and then the last cut is called a mirepoix, and you use this cut. It's just a rough cut. There's no special way of cutting, but this is your base of sauces, soups, marinades, anything like that, stocks. This is what gives your soups and sauces and stocks the flavour, the mirepoix. And there's usually 3 veg to this, and it's usually carrots, celery and onion. Again, it's just a rough cut just to start off and give flavour to your sauces, stocks, marinades, soups. This is key for adding flavours. Again, it's just a rough cut, like so. And then the onion. So we're going to go back to the onion, and we're going to do this one a little bit thicker. Okay, so you can see the root still on. Again, first step is near enough all the way through, but it holds together if your root's on. Turn this around. Step number 2, all the way through the onion, like so, but not all the way through the back. Okay, because if you go all through the back, you'll cut the root off and then your onion will fall apart. Whereas if you do it this way, your onion's not going to fall apart. And then you turn back on itself. Then you can do it a little bit thicker, so you've got a bigger piece of onion. And then there you're left with, that's your mirepoix. That's what you start your soups, stocks, sauces, the base ingredients. So as you can see from the plate, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 different cuts of vegetables. Thank you.